got a real 80s rave in here. This, Mark. To be fair, I'm almost beginning to think I missed the Shania Twain playlist now. I'm not kidding, we used to have Shania Twain playlist. What was it? We had a Disney one. Mark, but I say hello to Mark, by the way. He's one of our hard-working tech guys who makes all this possible. He also has an incredible taste in music, which ranges from Shania Twain right the way through to Idina Menzel and Let It Go from Frozen. This man has it all. So. Just before we start our panel, waiting for our guests at the moment, who would like, thanks to our friends at Terracotta Films, who would like a bit, and Aniplex, who would like some free anime, just quickly? Fantastic, let's see. You have to be kind of like 15 or over, should be fine. Free anime, loving your vest. I think you should be finding the panel though. Attack on Titan fan, there we are. Enjoy that one. It's Sharks in Tokyo, apparently. Right, it is almost panel time, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, the two microphones will be lit up when we give the word go, and then you can start asking away. Okay, there's still plenty there. Oh, Eric, don't go yet. Eric, stay back. Sorry, I have to do it right. We're going to do an intro, ladies and gentlemen. He's eager to go like an Evo. Please give it up from NCIS. We have Eric Christian Olsen. And now we have Daniela Ruah. Did I walk out to, you were about to, I was wondering what's going to happen there, Danielle, a little bit. I thought you were going to do something, flash there for a minute.
I accidentally flashed everyone, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's great, sorry.
It's a good thing no one has cameras.
Right? There's going to be some sort of weird still image online of like my bra showing, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's kind of typical for me to let
Does anyone else want a tea? I feel bad I brought this and I didn't bring anybody else a tea. I can't see anything. It's so dark out there.
You will get someone said no, the next song.
Wait a minute.
I think they want tea.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Is your phone on silent?
Yeah.
Eric's phone is never on silent in the middle of a take at work. Sometimes it's like, just like, hey.
Has that actually ever happened during like a really, like, with any of the really tense scene then, or a really, because you have this really great chemistry in your scenes, and when you're on set, you're really in the moment. Does that ever happen then?
No, actually, I don't think it's ever happened when it's really important. No, it's like group scenes where we're all kind of goofing around anyway, and all of a sudden it's like, ding.
I have I've never bought a ringtone in my life, and I bought a ringtone this year from the Stranger Things. Will you call me?
Sure. Because God forbid you just look for it on your phone.
Well, I don't even know how to pull it up. Someone has to call me.
Wait, what's your name again? There we go.
E-R-I-C.
Nope, you're not on. My phone is Eric. Wait for it.
This is just to prove that everyone can be a fanboy or girl. Oh.
What a flop. What a flop.
Hello?
No! International call!
I just cost you like $5. You get a $17 phone call to Daniela Ruah. Anyway, did anyone hear that? It's the Stranger Things theme. Because that show is perfect.
It's a great show.
So do you think then if they ever kind of, because they are in the next season kind of bringing it up towards modern day, would you ever love to see them kind of do an NCIS LA crossover in some way, or if that was possible?
What? Stranger Things?
Yeah, because they are actually aging it every season, because apparently the next season is set in the 90s, so then they're gonna, if there's a third season, they could bring it to 2000, then eventually it could kind of catch up with modern times, and who knows?
Well, unless they're selling national secrets and putting America at risk, I don't know that we would be involved.
Yeah, I think.
Are they harboring terrorists?
I don't know. You never know. Alien world crossover.
We'll work on doing crossovers with. I mean, you guys should answer this more than anybody. Scorpion, Y50, NCIS, NCIS New Orleans. I think that, you know, one of the great things about social media is now it's interactive and we get to find out what fans want. And it's, you know, we would love to figure out kind of what the crossover that everybody wants to see is. Obviously, Michael Weatherly coming over to our show was a highlight, I think, of that whole season. We're both huge fans of Weatherly, and that was such a fun episode. But it'd be interesting to see what we could do a crossover with.
And is there any of those shows that you like to cross over with? What are your favorite choices?
They've got 2 new shows, one SWAT, and there's a new Navy SEAL show that I think lives in the same world, that we could do crossovers with that, which would be, I think would be interesting. Both of those are on CBS.
Sounds good. And you've had a very busy year. The series has been going from strength to strength. What has been well, when you first heard the plans, what was going to happen? What was the thing that surprised you the most and caught you off guard the most?
Well, everything that happened this season, or at least in the first half of the season, was very much based on hiding my pregnancy. And the storyline that you guys got was very similar to the original storyline that I was told was going to happen, and I'm not sure that I'm even allowed to, well, maybe I can say it. So for those of you who have or have not, I'm assuming if you're here you've seen the season. So Kenzie obviously becomes debilitated for a short while and then eventually recovers. Originally the storyline is that she was going to actually lose a limb. And I remember when our showrunner was like, what do you think of this? And I was so almost devastated for Kenzie, because it's kind of difficult to emotionally distance myself from her when it comes to her happiness or her sadness, whatever it is. And then I thought, if I were offered a movie that had this plot line, I wouldn't even hesitate at the challenge of playing this, you know, crazy roller coaster of an emotional journey to recovery. But unfortunately, I think there was another show that was being written about a female lead who had lost a limb, and they didn't want 2 CBS shows with the same kind of thing going on, so we ended up scrapping that idea, and she had an injury that she eventually she recovered from. So it was kind of all over the place. They were just trying to figure it out to hide my pregnancy, and once they came up with this plot line, I think it was brilliant. Personally, it's my favorite season of all.
Mine too.
Kenzie and Deeks evolved greatly as a couple, and yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, that's it. I think that we have a new showrunner this year, Scott Gamble, and I think he has an interesting forte for writing, which is that he's really good at action, he's really good at comedy, he's really good at banter, he's really good at kind of the emotional evolution of characters, and I think we had our strongest season to date this past year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is, and it happens in life, we have expectations or a plan for what it is that we're going to do with our lives. And then something comes in the way in the form of an obstacle, and we have to adapt. And because of that, sometimes our lives become better. And I think this show is an example of when Danny got pregnant this time, they obviously weren't going to do her trapped under a helicopter in Syria and have her go through all this stuff. But because of that obstacle, I think we ended up getting the best storyline we've ever had for these 2 characters.
And 2 characters, they just seem to be loved by fans, and the relationship kind of, from what I understand, it grew, and it was never supposed to become a couple. Was that the plan, or did it kind of, and then the fan response was so great that it did?
I think that when you have a show that you believe might run for as long as this one has, or longer, there's only so much planning you can do, because I think that it's written as we go along. So of course there's always a little bit of viewer input.
Yeah.
If people are not reacting very nicely to something, or not very well, either you keep pushing that button because you want a response, or you decide to go in a slightly different direction because you want people to stay tuned. And I think it was quite an organic development of the relationship between Kenzie and Deeks that kind of allowed them to get what they are.
But if you look at the template of, is it Ziva?
Ziva and Michael, yeah. Tiva.
What?
Tony Donoso and Ziva. David.
So what's the short thing for that?
Tiva.
I think if you look at that as a template, they played Will They Won't They for what, 10 seasons, 11 seasons? And so our show, 12 seasons? Our show, they put us together season 4, and that's kind of they don't do that on television, because once you put them together, like, where does the shipping go? Where does the fandom go? Where does the relationship?
Season 5, they put us together.
Will They Won't They until the end of it. So when they put us together, I think everybody was really nervous.
Christmas
about
episode, season 5.
What?
Christmas episode, season 5.
Christmas episode season. Are you telling me when they put them together? This is also my real life with my wife too. She's like, our anniversary? Yeah, June 26th. I don't even know if that's right.
This guy's like,
She's now watching live, being like, "That's not right." She's not.
he's like, when's my wife's birthday again? I'm like,
I'm so bad with dates, you guys.
you guys are what, 28, 29? It's like, nope, we're both 33.
You're 33. That's crazy.
As is your wife.
What am I saying? Nothing.
You're gonna be 40 next week.
I'm gonna be 40 like Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right.
Woo.
Feels good.
Salt and pepper.
This is
older
40.
man.
This is 40. I think so. When they decided to put these two characters together, it becomes much more of, this is a realistic relationship, which is two people fighting to be together through insurmountable obstacles, and you still, as an audience, as the actor playing that, you still know that they need to be together. So you do everything possible to make that happen. And I think that's a much more realistic, emotionally honest storyline than Will They Won't They for 12 years.
I honestly didn't think that they would have put them together so early on in the show. Because
Nobody
as
did.
Eric said, it's like, where do you go from here? And I remember giving an interview and they were saying, oh, where do you think the characters are going to go? And literally the day before we got the script for when they got together, I was like, no, they won't put them together until the very end. And then they did. And I think they've developed that story quite beautifully and naturally. It's, there's the hesitations, there's the fears. They both have their own kind of like traumas with previous relationships, whether it's with family members or with romantic relationships. And so it's very hesitant and very careful. But in that there's a lot of sweetness and acceptance and growth. And so yeah.
Because even the elements where you two are kind of discussing serious aspects of the relationship are handled with a great sense of humour, for example, where you both think about having children. And it's so well done. The humour between the two of you is perfect. I mean, does that naturally come to you quite easily? Or is it something you have to take to get right? Because it was perfectly done when we saw it on the screen.
I think Eric and I have been working together for so long at this point that there's a lot of unsaid, that we both go in the same direction just because we know each other's style and kind of, and maybe at this point we even have very similar or the same instincts within scenes of how they should be. And listen, just because something's serious, not everybody, you don't have to play something seriously to be a serious situation. And I can even speak for example, when we're on, shootouts and we're chasing the bad guys and he's cracking jokes and she's like, shut up, Deeks. It's, people diffuse stress in different ways, and humor is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And I think, that's kind of where some of this, I think, is probably born from.
And I think that's part of that is Scott Gemmell, who's our showrunner, is really good at that balance too, because I think the philosophy behind that type of writing is that when we have just drama, a form of self-preservation prepares us for the drama, for the very serious conversations. And that's kind of withholding a piece of ourselves from committing to whatever that scene is or that conversation. And comedy does the opposite, which is pulls you in, disarms you. So if you can find a combination, which is, I just talked about this in the press up there, one of my favorite scenes ever is when Deeks, after he's been tortured, hasn't slept in months. And Kenzie comes over with Chinese food, and there's this really delicate scene that is both comedic and heartbreaking and dramatic and romantic, all of those things, which is the best version of what we want in our relationships, that is so disarming and so honest and dramatic and wonderful because of that.
And there were a lot of little improvs in that scene, by the way, which is why they left the camera on both of us. A lot of times, if you notice, they'll go to his face and then my face and cut back and forth. In this scene, they just kind of had most of it in a two-shot where you always saw both of us because there were so many little improvs and reactions to those improvs that you kind of needed to have everything stay together. I feel like it's more intimate that way. Like
Yeah,
you feel like you're sitting in the living room with those two people. So.
But that's it. I mean, it's trying to find that combination because, again, that's life. You know what I mean? It's not just one fragment of it.
So we're going to open the questions out to you, ladies and gentlemen. So the lights will come on the microphone.
Yeah, thank God. Let's throw some house lights up. I feel like I'm
So
talking
you can see that now. But now,
black
so if you
hole.
would like to ask a question, don't be shy. There are 2 mics.
House lights.
Oh, we got a spotlight, girl.
I feel like somebody's gonna start singing.
Hello. Oh, wow. If you could do like a Freaky Friday kind of episode and swap and play someone else in the show, who would you guys want to play?
Do we get to do an impersonation of them then?
No, you actually pay that person, so you would go into
You switch
their body.
bodies.
You switch bodies.
Have you not seen Freaky Friday?
Is it a documentary? Wait. Is it a Michael Bay movie? No.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
So then they come into our body?
Yeah.
You literally, your mind stays the same, but you're in somebody else's body.
Right. That's a really good question. I've never thought of it.
Anybody you mean in the cast?
Anybody in the show, yeah.
And so we would be switching bodies with the characters or switching bodies with like the actual actors?
So switching bodies so you can play a different character other than yourselves.
I want to be LL Cool J.
Yeah, I think I want to be Ellen.
I want to know what it's like to be that big for a day.
I get to lick my lips and like do my LL thing right now. B, yo B, you're taking my body, B. It's so ridiculous right now. Come on.
I think I just look at myself in the mirror all day. I'd be like,
I just pet my own bicep, just like. Yeah, we both love LL. He's the greatest.
yeah.
Good question. Hi, will you say your name too?
My name's Roberta.
Hi, Roberta.
Hi. If you guys could, I know you mentioned Stranger Things, but if you could write each other an episode and there were no rules at all, you could just do whatever you wanted and there's not much drama, what would it be?
If we wrote an episode,
For each other.
I wrote an episode of the show.
They just chose not to have.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It's actually brilliant. I haven't read it because it's like Secret of the Gods, but everything he's told me about the plot sounds pretty incredible.
It's a heady-based episode, and it's a freight train episode, and it's, maybe we'll make it next year. But it was, you have Linda Hunt, who's one of the best actors on the planet. I wrote an episode, which is essentially fan fiction, right? So I'm writing an episode for Linda Hunt. But I can't tell you what it is, because then if it airs, it'll be all ruined. But it's good.
I don't know how to answer that question.
If you wrote an episode, so she would be writing an episode for me?
Yeah, and there were no rules and you could cross
Yeah.
like CBS Universe and
Oh, it could go down.
So you could put me in any situation.
Yeah. I would put him in the underworld of Stranger Things and leave him there.
That doesn't seem very... If I was talking to my son right now, I'd say that doesn't seem very kind or thoughtful.
Kind words, Wyatt. Kind words.
What is your heart telling you?
By the way, speaking of kind words, we're teaching our son not to say like yuck if he doesn't like food or something like that, and so now he's learning to say if he doesn't like the food, he goes, I would not ask for this again. It's like, that was very polite of you, that's fair enough.
That's hilarious. What's up, buddy?
Talking with...
Good question. Thank you, Roberta.
Hi. Talking about your relationship with Ella, if you could do a lip sync battle against any other NCIS character, who would it be?
The whole franchise?
Yeah.
I keep begging him to be on that, actually.
Weatherly, probably.
Yeah, you two would be really, really fun.
Weatherly would take his shirt off, and then he would take his pants off. Because Weatherly runs
And
out
then
of
he
things
would
to
win.
do, and then he takes his pants off. You're like, Weatherly, why are you taking your pants off? But that's his go-to move.
I like a big challenge, so I think probably Wilmer.
Oh yeah, Wilmer
I
would
think
be great.
I would go up against Wilmer and just, yeah, I think he'd go all out and I would too, so,
He would commit.
yeah.
He's a stud.
Okay.
Thanks.
So what do you think?
What is your name?
Megan.
Megan. Alright, Megan. Alright.
What do you think your favourite thing about being in the most action-packed sort of NCIS show is?
Favorite thing?
Yeah.
About the action itself?
Yeah.
Doing it. The fight sequences. I have a stunt double for the sort of more dangerous things. If I have to get slammed to the ground or something, they won't let me do that as much as I would like to, for insurance purposes. But anything that's the sort of more hands-on fight sequences, I try and do as much of it as possible myself, and I absolutely love it. It's really fun. I actually requested to fight with the other actor's stunt double, so I don't fear anything, and like I don't hold back. I get to do it because I know they can take it, and they know how to throw punches and kicks, and it's so much fun. I also, bizarrely enough, I kind of get a kick about watching my husband do stunts. I'm always standing on the people like, oh, aren't you afraid he'll get hurt? I'm not afraid he'll get hurt. I'm concerned, of course, but I love watching it and filming it, and then I show my son to kind of desensitize him and not thinking that things are dangerous. So that's a pretend fight and a pretend fall. So now he's riding his bike and he goes, Mom, I'm gonna do a stunt. And he throws his bike on the floor and like rolls over and ends up sitting and goes, stunt. It's really cute. So yeah. That's my favorite part.
I think what's crazy about this show is that when I first started, I did a movie called The Thing at the same time, and I have a death sequence in this movie that took 8 days to shoot. And on a show like ours, 8 days is the whole episode. So we do these giant stunt sequences and action sequences like in 3 hours or 4 hours. It's such a well-oiled machine, which is crazy because you're essentially shooting a James Bond movie in 16 days, 2 hours of television. And that's because we have the best stunt guys on the planet, including my brother, and Troy Brown. Coordinator is Troy Brown. All these guys came from the feature world, and they just crush it. We have the best special effects guys. Yeah. Don and his team, like they're really good. And usually you go do a movie, and they're like, all right, we're gonna set up some mortars, and there's gonna be an explosion, and it's gonna be 15 feet high, and then it goes off, and there's like twice as many mortars, and the fireball's 65 feet high, and they burn somebody's house. Like it's all a free-for-all. And our guys are really good.
Yeah. There's this, if you guys remember the end of season 3, there was the warehouse completely blows up as Deeks and Kenzie are running out of it, and we think Sam's still inside. So my husband and my stunt double both did that when they jumped out, and you see in the still frame of the image that on the far right of the picture, the end of the warehouse, it's a sort of red, huge flame. And it was explained to us that that's a gasoline-based flame, so it's bigger and it's hotter. But where the stunt doubles were coming out of, it's a butane-based explosion. So it's a little lighter of a flame, a little whiter, and it doesn't burn as hot. So it's slightly safer for the stunt doubles who are running out of there. It's a little bit more of a contained explosion. So it's just really fascinating to speak to all the people, who's like engineers and artists that work on our show, and it's so well thought out. So I think
that was the biggest practical explosion on television to date. That explosion.
No CGI.
It means no CGI. That was all real explosions. And usually on shows, like you can tell, we as an audience can tell when it's computer generated.
Here,
that was the biggest practical one.
I'll pull up the image and maybe one of our camera guys can. But next question anyway, I can show you.
While she sorts through her Instagram.
No, I have a file. Hold on, it's right here.
Hold it down. There you go. How are they going to see that? Oh, you want to zoom into that?
Can you guys kind of see it?
Usually you have a plan in life, and then it's diverted by someone.
Wait, so that guy right there.
What am I looking at? She'll tweet it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
Hello. Oh, wow, okay. My name is Shauna.
Hi, Shauna.
What has been your favourite scene to shoot together this season?
This season?
Yeah.
Wait, first?
I think the scene where you proposed to me when I am sitting in the wheelchair.
Where you like broke your arm?
Maybe.
She was like so in the moment. She was like banging her arm against the wheelchair, like
It was pretty bruised up.
but
Genuine reactions. I think that one was one of those examples where they kept the cameras on both of us so that we could just kind of, whatever came out of that moment would be usable as genuine reactions to each other's actions and words. So I think off the top of my head, there's actually another scene that I love too, but I can't tell you about it because it hasn't aired here yet.
So have you guys not seen the finale?
For those of you who have, don't spoil it for everybody else, please, because it's such a great.
That's one of my favorite scenes. Is the scene in the finale that some of you have seen. But it's a really.
Wait, which one?
The final scene of the season.
Oh, wait.
Really? I think that I argued against it when they gave the script, because of course I argue about everything. When they gave the script to us, I said that the emotional bridge that has to be built from one of the most catastrophic moments of the show to get to the place where we can accept this moment of the show, I felt like it was too far of a gap. And we talked about it for a long time, and I think that sometimes from great tragedy, we find a way to reevaluate the choices that we've made and what it is that we're delaying in our life for happiness or delaying in our life for fulfillment. Whether it's relationships, whether it's making the choices we want to do for our careers, whatever it is. And I think that from this great tragedy came one of my favorite moments on the show, because it's two characters who say we've been delaying something that's inevitable and something that's necessary for love, and now we're going to make that jump. I hope I didn't just give it away for those of you who haven't seen it.
Thank you.
It's a good question.
Hello, my name is Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Obviously you guys work quite hard for when you're on air and everything, doing the stunts that you can do. What do you like to do in your spare time, downtime?
For me, it's a lot of family time. I have 2 young kids, and because I work so many hours of the day, when my son's in school, my daughter comes to work with me, but I think I just kind of like grab at as much family time as I can. And then a lot of exercising in our household in general. My husband and I are very big on staying healthy and exercising. Watching a lot of other shows at night when the house is quiet and I have time to myself, and pretty normal stuff, reading. Yeah. It's not a very interesting answer.
You got 2
I go to strip clubs.
I think that we're, is that me?
Yeah.
Shutting.
You're fine.
I think that we're in the kind of the pinnacle of television right now. Like, I feel like we could all sit here and name like 7 shows that we love. And I don't think that was true 10 years ago. I don't think that was definitely true 20 years ago, because we have so many different options on television. So I've spent a lot of my free time, obviously, I got 2 kids and an amazing wife, and we spend a lot of time together, but also I just sold a show to Hulu last week. And so the idea of creating and telling more stories in different kind of templates and on platforms is really exciting for me, because I'm at the core of it. I'm such a fan of entertainment. Like, I still love, I took my son to see Lion King 2 days ago in London, and just that experience is so kind of transformational. And then you watch a great hour of television and kind of what that does for you, and especially when you're watching with your friends or with your family, like, these are shared experiences. And I think that's what we're all looking for, is just, things to share with each other, common values or threads or things that we love. So that's what I'm doing a lot in my spare time, is finding other stories to tell. It's been really fun.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rita.
We met you earlier. Hi, how are you?
You're Portuguese.
Yeah. Imagining if you were the show writers and you could change anything that happened to the characters this season, what would you change?
These are really good questions. Whew. Change anything this season specifically?
Yeah.
I don't know that I would change anything. To me, everything that was incorporated in this season to the very last episode was so well thought out, and such an interesting journey of growth for every single one of the characters. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking for Denzi here, it's definitely for those 2, but I can't imagine a moment that I would have eliminated or changed.
Is there something that you would change?
I don't think so.
That's a tough question. It's like life. Everything's getting us to the place we're at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's also moments in which, like, we'll get a script, and and social media plays a role in this too, when there's inconsistencies with the character's history or background that doesn't make sense to what it is they're doing. But we'll have that conversation on set. She told a story earlier of, her recovery process was so dark, and there kind of wasn't any moment in which we saw what we were fighting for as a couple, which is the couple at their best. And so she and I pitched to our director and our AD and our showrunner, Scott Gemmell, can we have one moment in which we see the beauty of this relationship? And they went off at lunch and wrote this scene where we both wake up together.
He's on the couch.
I'm on the couch.
He's on the bed in the hospital, and,
And I wake up,
I don't want to be here anymore. That scene, that was written on a day.
That was written at lunch. And that was because from a collaborative effort, we said, we have to find a moment in which, these two together are what we fall in love with for 7 seasons, because she was playing so much of the
anger, sadness,
yeah.
negativity of all of it.
So I think the good news is with showrunners like we have, that if there's a problem, we talk about it and adapt on the fly.
And also they're really good at incorporating, because we've been playing these characters for so long, they incorporate us very much in, especially nowadays, a lot of certain decisions when it comes to the characters. Like I said, the original storyline, when he said, it would be really interesting, whatever, for the story, if maybe Kenzie actually lost a limb, and what do you think? How do you feel about that? So I was incorporated in that decision making. And even Scott even sent us all an email to the whole cast and said, if there's anything that you really want to try or do in season 9 that you haven't done yet, let me know.
Which is a good question for you guys. Like,
what do you guys want to see?
Right, but that's a fair question. Is that because we, our perspectives are so singular. If there's stuff that you guys want to see in season 9, put it up on Instagram. And if it makes sense, I think we can pitch it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe not more babies, because
yeah, no kidding.
I don't want to fake pregnant when I was already pregnant twice on the show.
Next question. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, that was loud. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Wait.
Power of healing.
Whoa. You just got deep. I'm gonna say something super selfish and self-serving.
I want to fly. Be invisible and go to the girls' bathroom.
No, that's weird. Don't do that. That's weird.
You guys have been watching this show long enough to know that Danny's eternally like a 7-year-old boy. Her sense of humor is like straight prepubescent.
I had no
teenager.
siblings growing up telling me that I wasn't funny, so I think I'm really funny.
That's so true.
Every time I see
Such a window into her life. She thinks she's funny. This is what she says to me like almost every day. She'll tell a joke, and then she'll laugh at it, and then I'll just be staring at her, and she goes, "It's okay, I think I'm funny." I'll be like, well.
It's actually true. He also knows that if he just stares at me long enough, I'm not going to stop talking until I'm interrupted. And so and I was like, right, okay, this is getting awkward. I'm going to go now. I think I'm funny. Just walk away.
I don't know. I'll have to put some thought to that. I'll have an answer by the end of the panel. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Hi, Eric.
Hi. Hi.
It was so sad to see the passing of Miguel this season, and I felt one of the best scenes Eric played this season was when you were in the gym. You were talking about the recovery of Kenzie at the time and how you thought you couldn't support her enough. How hard was that to play opposite Miguel at the time? Now we know that he was suffering from cancer at the time.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was delusional in my optimism that he was going to recover. And I think that's how I dealt with his sickness, because he had beat it already. And I just assumed that, that was the plan. We were going to beat it again. And that was his plan.
No one ever said, including him, no one ever said he was terminal. It was, and because nobody ever planted that seed in our heads, I think we were all kind of, as you say, a little bit delusional and blindly kind of like wishing, hoping, and praying that he would pull through the second time around.
So it really becomes in retrospect, you know what I mean? And I can't do it because I'll start crying. I put a post up on Instagram about that, about my favorite experiences and moments with Miguel, because he was such an amazing human with such an incredible journey and such an openness, and so articulate about all of it. I think there's so much, we talk about self-preservation in Hollywood where people are projecting something. And he just was who he was, and he was confident in that. And that's what I talked about in Instagram too, is that his kids carry that, and that's, the legacy that guy passes on. But I don't think we've begun to understand kind of the impact that's having on us. It comes in waves, like all grief does, you know what I mean? But those scenes will be, I see a an episode where he's on TV. I was just in like Mallorca and I saw an episode that was playing and he came on the screen and I was just, you know, overwhelmed. It's tough.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I have a question for you guys, and I want to know if you could choose any celebrity, absolutely anyone, who would you choose to be on the show?
I know Danny's.
Nope, it's changed.
What? Who is it now?
I'm not telling you.
Well, tell her.
I just asked you.
Yeah, she just asked me a
Okay,
question.
I'll tell you, but I'm not telling him.
Earmuffs.
Somebody whose work I've actually, I mean, there's a lot of great actors out there, but there's somebody who I was a fan of a show that they were on, and I've just kind of recently, by coincidence, seen a bunch of films that they are in, and I just, for some reason, really respond to their work. Alexander Skarsgård. I think he's really, what?
I like that you were like pitching him as like, well, this is really interesting work and he's doing this work, and then it's just like a heartthrob. It's like, and Skarsgård with his shirt.
Okay, so you can be heartthrob and not a good actor at the same time.
Listen, I watched, what's the show on HBO?
Big Little Lies.
You guys watch that? Oh, he crushed it.
He's so good in that, and in True Blood, he was really good, and then there's a series of movies that he's in. I don't know, for some reason, he just came to mind because I've seen stuff with him recently, and it just kind of...
I mean, I can answer that with 7,000 answers, you know what I mean?
Exactly, it's tough.
Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, I mean, there's so many people from so many shows that the idea that, well, here's the truth, is that we have to find someone to come in to kind of play a similar role that Miguel played. And so then you start
Wait,
thinking,
was that your question? About
no, she's saying
his
anybody.
shoes?
No, you're saying anybody.
Because I was like, okay, he's Alexander,
But I
the
really,
right one for that one.
but I have that conversation in my head, which is who can come in when you have so many kind of alphas. Even she's an alpha, and LL is, and Chris, we all can drive scenes.
Yeah.
And so you need someone that has the power of Linda Hunt or Miguel to come in and drive those scenes, to take control of that situation. That's a really hard thing to do. And you've seen them bring people in where it doesn't really work. So to have someone come in with the gravitas to be like, I'm running the show and I'm taking over. And I think that is those type of characters, like the John Goodmans, the Jean Smart. You know who Jean Smart is, the female actress who's so good? You know, somebody like that. An established, powerful, confident, articulate woman, I think is the best way to go.
That's interesting because you asked during the show. In my mind, it was like for one episode. In his mind, I think he was thinking more long term.
Yeah.
So.
Either way.
Yeah.
Skarsgård would be great. Listen, that guy's awesome.
And he has...
Is that James? I can't see that far.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Alright. One of the interests groups have asked whether you're gonna go to any other country.
Any other countries?
For Comic-Con?
Yeah.
No, not this year.
Not this year.
Oh, well...
Well, anytime.
Easy.
We may go to Portugal.
In December.
In December, there's a possibility.
It's being worked out right now, so we're hoping it will happen, but no promises.
And then next summer, I don't think we come here again, but we're probably going to do someplace in Europe.
Yeah. Apparently they don't let you do more than 2 years in a row in one place.
Although, like, this room is full, so I think he's wrong. You guys just tell James you want us to come back, we'll come back.
Hi, Izzy.
Maybe Paris. You're so cute. You were swimming to get to the microphone, but you're in air, so it wasn't really swimming. It was just kind of clawing at the air like a chia pet. Now you're
Just call
laughing.
her a chia pet.
Well, she was like this and was crawling for the microphone. It's reminding me that I'm teaching my son how to doggy paddle.
I watched an interview somewhere where you, Eric, would steal the last line before it's ended. Does that still happen? And which might give an example?
I did not understand the question.
The Queen Latifah show, she tells the story of how in a scene they'll give her the last line, and then she says it, and then I come up with something usually witty and charming to say after it, and then the show goes, you can go ahead.
No, so the last line of a scene would be like, you know, put your weapons down and get down on the ground, and then we're supposed to hold it for like 2 seconds to get that thing on the show. So it's like, put your weapons down on the ground now!
You heard the lady. And so the camera's like, well, we'll go to Eric. And it just has me going like this, like, and then the scene gets out of me. It drives her crazy.
Drives me nuts.
And I think that's why I do it. Nothing makes me happier than seeing Daniela over there going, and she really does get so upset. She gets the vein pop out. She's got, I don't know if you guys have noticed, of course you have, 185 hours of television, but this vein right here comes out when she gets really angry. And it's really funny.
Do you see it?
And sometimes when I need a reaction from her in a scene, like if she has to be angry in a scene, she can either act angry or I can make her
Or she can be angry.
And so I will literally like keep saying things until she's so angry and the roll cameras and then she just says it.
What was that one time we were in the car?
We were in the car and she was supposed to be mad at me and yelling and she was trying to do the scene and it wasn't working and I was just like, hey, I just want to introduce you to someone. These are called rear view mirrors and this is your side mirror. If you wanted to utilize those, you wouldn't be such a terrible driver. And she was like, ah! And action.
I said action and I was like, ah!
And she got it. And then I smiled and she was like, still just seething in anger after we finished the scene. I was like, hey, you got it. And she's like, I know! I know! I was like, we're done. We're done.
Eric kind of nailed it on the head where you get a positive, was it negative reinforcement for,
If you give positive reinforcement for negative behavior.
No, but that's not what I was trying to say.
But what are you trying to say?
No. When Eric insults me or annoys me or tells me I can't do something, that's generally exactly when I'm going to succeed at doing that thing.
Oh, she's one of the only people that I know that responds to negative reinforcement.
That's what I was trying to say, yes.
So everyone, like you have a coach, right? So whatever you're playing a sport, and there's a coach that says like, you're gonna be great, we're gonna work this out, that's like 95% of the world responds to positive reinforcement. Danny responds to negative reinforcement. So like she'll be blowing up a scene and be like, Danny, what are you doing? That was terrible. And then she becomes amazing. So she's the only person I know that responds to
There's a lot about how my mom spoke to me as a child.
So true.
Not so good, sweetheart. You'll be okay.
But she gets it. She ends up getting the scene. Thank you. Good to see you.
Hello.
Everybody's so shocked at these microphones.
Well, they are.
Used to it,
Jarringly loud.
I'm Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Grayson.
So my question was, besides recently, because I have seen the last episode, is there any other antagonists that you would want to bring back for like an intricate storyline?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who have we not killed off?
Deets.
You're not an antagonist. Well, to Kenzie. But,
Or maybe even like a surprise, oh, we thought they died, JK, they didn't.
Hashtag.
JK.
Sorry, not sorry.
What was Deek's friend?
I was about to say, he's not an antagonist though, but Deek's best friend, do you guys remember him? He was there he wasn't there, but he was kind of involved in when Deek shot his dad.
Was it when he wanted to help and you guys were like behind the building, you talked, and then he disappeared?
Yes.
My best friend?
I think so. What was his name?
Oh, you know who I loved that they shouldn't have killed off is the Gurkha.
Oh, Eddie Reyes Jr.
What was his name?
Eddie Reyes Jr.
That's the actor. What was the character's name? What? Say it again.
Thapa.
Thapa.
Thank you.
Whoever, send that person a pony. All three of them. He was amazing, and I think they made a mistake killing him off.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
And who else do we just have back that killed it? Oh, Bates. I love Bates. He's kind of an antagonist. He comes back in the finale. Or no, he comes back. Oh, so we've shot 2 additional episodes for next season. And Bates and Whiting both come back. And Whiting.
I love them.
So that's already aired. So yeah, I told Whiting that I killed that cop. And she survives. So she comes back next season, and Bates comes back to next season. And those are 2 of my.
None of those are antagonists, but.
They're both antagonists.
But for the good, for the greater good.
Whiting wants to put him in prison. I think that's pretty antagonistic.
He deserves it.
I don't know. Is there anybody you have in mind?
I was thinking about the same person, like your best friend, the one that kind of just disappears half the time.
Yeah.
I think that was probably.
Yeah, we should.
Mysterious.
Yeah, we should bring him back. I'll ask about that.
His name was Ray, wasn't it?
Ray. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Grayson.
Hello.
Hi.
I just want to know who's the biggest prankster on set?
We get this question often. I don't know that there's one biggest prankster, but
Here's what I'm going to fight for. Every year at the wrap party, they play 20 minutes of bloopers, and they're amazing. And they never put them on the DVD, and it drives me so crazy because one of my favorite things as a fan is watching the blooper reel, and especially with there's nothing better than LL Cool J's real laugh. And when he loses it in a scene, I lose it in a scene, and Danny loses it, we all lose it. But there's some really great humanizing moments, and maybe that's why they don't do it, from behind the scenes where, you know, at the end of the day,
it's more than just the humanizing aspect. I think there's a lot of inappropriate behavior.
They can cut around that.
behind the scenes.
Leave it out.
Yeah, they could leave that out. Yeah, there's been a few pranks that have been played for sure. Do you want to?
No.
I guess not.
No, I mean, you can tell the story.
Did you guys hear the one that I did to him?
I feel like we've told that story 1,000 times. We told it here last year. Everybody's like, I heard that story.
The one about the shirt? Do you all know that one?
She sewed my shirt together. Here's the punchline. After a full day of shooting...
Crappy. Like, hey, the joke doesn't matter. Here's the punchline.
But the punchline is the joke. After a full day of work fighting with LL Cool J, I came back to my trailer exhausted, and she had sewn the sleeves shut on my shirt.
Yeah, I sewed them shut in the bottom of his pants, and he was so tired that he couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong and why he couldn't, like, he had his, I'm guessing, because I wasn't in his trailer while he was getting dressed, but I'm guessing you had, like, your hand through
What?
hard and all this.
I couldn't get the right arm to go through, and then I just figured that something was broken. So then I tried to put the left one through, and I was just sitting there staring in the mirror like, what is happening to me? And then I tried to put the pants on, and it kept stopping. You know, like when you're putting pants on, it stops. You never in a million years assume someone has sewed your pants together. So you just keep pulling on it. I must have looked like a crazy person.
I did something to one of the guest actors. If you've seen the episode with the salsa dancing, so the guy that I salsa danced with, his name is George, and he wrote "Wash Me" on the back of my car, and he wrote "Hoarder" on the back of my car.
It's true, she's a hoarder.
I'm not a hoarder.
You didn't know that, but Daniela Ruah is a hoarder.
I am messy. I'm not a hoarder. And so on George's car, I surrounded it with Post-its.
That actually is really funny.
It's pretty funny. I have a picture somewhere. You want
And
to
then
see?
I cleaned them all up and recycled them all.
You did not.
Yeah.
George did, and I took them from him and recycled them.
That must have taken you 6 hours.
No, it wasn't that big of a car.
I'm gonna get those bloopers for you. They're worth it.
Yeah, it's very funny. There was
What's
actually
your name?
one.
I'm James.
James? I'm gonna say James wants bloopers.
There was
Scott Gemmell.
one year. Do you guys remember the show Chips with the Highway Patrol? So there was one episode a few seasons ago where Callan and Sam are wearing sort of Highway Patrol uniforms and they're undercover. And so what they did was they took those images and re-edited everything to make it look like an episode of Chips from the 70s or 80s or something like that. Like they added the music and it was kind of like quick close-ups and the still frames when an explosion happens. It was very funny. So sometimes editors do stuff like that during the blooper reels where they just create this whole other world within, it's really funny.
Thank you.
We'll try to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got time for these last two people, I believe.
Hi, I'm Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
If you could pick any Stranger Things character to play you in the show, who would you pick?
Well, that's easy. I don't know the kid's name.
You talking about
Look
the
him
kid
up
with
on
no
your
teeth?
phone.
Kid with no teeth?
Dustin.
The little funny guy.
Yeah, he's got
Dustin, the really chubby one.
Yeah.
missing the teeth.
That guy. He's missing teeth?
In the show he is. Yeah, I think his two front teeth have fallen out. I think they've grown back in the meantime, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Yeah, that kid's hilarious. Listen, all those kids are so good. And I think there's something magical about that. And I didn't know this, that they were going every decade.
Neither
It
did I. It's clever.
captures the 80s so well. And that's, escapism television at its best. So that kid crushes it. He can
Yeah.
play me anytime.
I love The Girl, I Love 11.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one for you too.
It is, yeah, it's quite fitting. Even though, yeah.
Spin-off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe.
Hello.
You got a Pokemon attached to your pants.
Yeah. My name's Andrew. I was just wondering about the case where you shoot the clock to protect the child. As you've compared to, I think it's Bates, was it?
Yeah.
Do you think...
Oh, Whiting, yeah. I told Whiting that she's bleeding out.
And you're protecting a woman, not a
Protecting
child.
a woman,
Protecting-
yeah. A girl. She's
A girl.
17.
Do you, how far do you think the case will go? Do you think that she'll sentence Deeks, or would there be any punishment for protecting the child?
I think she's pretty by the book, right? Like, well, that's Whiting's thing. Is she's a cop hunter. You know, she's internal affairs. So what they do on a show like this is they throw that anvil into the air, but we don't know when it's coming down. We know it comes back next year because I've done scenes, a whole episode about this, and it's a really interesting dynamic when someone knows a piece of information that could put you away for life. No, Deeks killed another cop. So how do you navigate that from a moral standpoint? Even if it's for what he would argue is justifiable reasons. It's a really good. What's happening behind us?
There's a smoke machine.
That's to make us look better. Turn it on. little more power. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing that they play. That he confesses to Whiting under the circumstances he does, which is that if you help me find Kenzie, I'll tell you the truth. He does because he's standing by his word.
Yeah.
She now knows this. She survives, and what's to become of that? And I think it's a really interesting dynamic. And then when Bates comes back, and we don't, there's no indication of what that is now, but the reason he comes back is he's being hunted. So it's a really good episode.
It's really clever the way that the writers have done it, because in all reality, to this dilemma of what to do with Deeks about the situation, there's no right answer. Because on one hand, it's like, well, you did it for the right reasons, you were protecting somebody and this was a dirty cop. On the other hand, you still killed another person. It's not your job to do that justice. And so it's not a vigilante, exactly. And so, you know, it will always create some sort of debate of what to do with him, and what would I do, what would you do, what would you have done in that situation? And
moral ambiguity.
Moral ambiguity. Here we go.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for on our panel today. Please join me in giving a massive round of applause to our panelists today. And both of you will be at the signing event this afternoon and doing photos as well for the remainder of the evening.
I said this last year, and we should take the time to say it again, that, you know...
Thank you.
Yeah. Shows on television, they come for one season, they die off in the second season, and they get canceled after 3 seasons. The fact that we're up here with you guys after 8 seasons, going into season 9, is remarkable with what's happening with television.
And you're still all here interested in the stories that these characters have to tell.
And the only reason that we get to tell those stories is because of you guys, because of you and your families and what you're doing on the internet. And so we need to, again, tell you how much we appreciate the support that you've given us and the show, because it's such a wonderful thing to be a part of, and we wouldn't have that without you.
Yeah, so thank you to those who are from London, who come from different cities in England or the UK, who have flown in from different countries just to see us. Thank you so much for taking the time and spending the money and being here with us.
Is there anyone here from Norway? Oh my gosh.
There's no one from Norway? Oh, over there, there's one
You're from Norway?
From Norway, right there. There we go. Any more Scandinavian countries?
That's our first Norwegian fan.
More
Wait, you're from Scandinavia? Well.
I'm so sorry, it's really dark and looking out, because when we went to
the house lights quickly. For the love of God, we should have done this whole thing with the house lights.
I know, I wanted to see everybody.
Well, thank you for Norwegian fan. I'm from Norway, and everywhere we go, there's never been a Norwegian fan.
Yeah, in Hanover, it was like crickets. Like, anybody from Norway?
No one. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Olsen Daniela Ruah and Eric Christian Olsen.